Hello and welcome to my Lab 7 SR latch. This is Eliza Cohn describing the schematic for what's going on. So we have the core of the operation is this NAND gate quad here, and we also have two switches. So for each switch, the top leg is grounded and the bottom leg has a 10K ohm resistor going to VDD. The bottom leg of each switch is also the input of a NAND gate. So here the switch is an input of the first NAND gate. This switch is an input of the second NAND gate. The second input of the first NAND gate is the output of the second NAND gate. And the second input of the second NAND gate is the output of the first NAND gate. The outputs of each NAND gate is connected via a 220 ohm resistor to two LEDs. So now that our SR latch is constructed, it is easy to write a 1 or a 0 to it. So we're going to let this LED represent 1 and this LED represent 0. So when we turn it on, we can see that it's initially set to holding 1. And then when we press the switch, it is now set to holding 0. And we see that when we turn off the circuit, turn it back on, it's still at 0. So now it wants us to press the forbidden state 5 times in a row and see what happens. The forbidden state happens when both switches are pressed. So here we see. So we see that the two LEDs go off on unison, which is incorrect because it's supposed to be 0 and 1, or Q and Q naught, the opposite of each other. And we see that overall the same bit is held throughout the whole process. So at the end, you're still holding the same bit you started with, but clearly both lights went off incorrectly. So the main problem that was found in this circuit was figuring out how to wire up the latches correctly. So at first I just had that the top leg was connected to 5 volts, so when the switch was open, it was reading in supposedly low or 0 to the NAND gate, but what I wasn't doing was grounding that leg, so it's really an undefined value was being read to the system. So that means the LEDs kind of just like flickered randomly, and it's hard to tell what's going on. But then once you adjusted the fact that you didn't want to initially read in the wrong state of having both switches pressed, so now we have the ground, like the resting state of the switches is that it's reading in high voltage to the system. So yeah, that was the main problem. And so in conclusion, we have discovered that the SR latch is kind of a flexible idea. So this can be implemented dually with both the OR gates or the NOR gates as we saw earlier and the NAND gates here. So there's more than one way to build a memory component, which is going to be really useful later on in the semester when we're going to need to be storing states with our final project.